Here is Miss Luna and welcome to her vlog. I'm going to be going through a heap of videos from back when she first came to me, which was I think back in June, a long time ago because now it's November. And she's quite a tricky miss, so you'll see from the first videos how she was when she first came. And I've actually got a show jumping video that the owner has sent to me, and you'll see the difference between that show jump video and another show jump video at exactly the same venue that I'll put later on. So stick around to the end of the video because we'll show you her most recent dressage competition and her most recent results and the progress. It's been quite a journey, and she's back here now for 3 months because our owner's gone to Melbourne and we love her. So this is the first ride, and so not going to really try and school her per se, but just see what happens when I use my reins, use my legs. She felt generally quite tense. You could just feel like you were sitting on top, and she wanted to jog a lot. If you tried to slow her down with your reins, she would throw her head up. If you tried to put your leg on to try and get her to accept the rein, she would go faster, and then you'd use your rein, then she'd throw her head. So it was this constant kind of tricky sort of scenario where I thought, well, I can't really do anything. She also didn't want to stay on the track, so she constantly wanted to fall in, especially on this right rein. So the right rein was her worst. So to have to hold the outside rein and really clamp on my right leg, which she was not impressed about. And then forwards up into the trot. It's a little bit better. It was really hard to kind of balance on her because you're trying to encourage her to have some sort of feel on her mouth, and then she'd sort of suck back and jack up, and yeah, it was quite uncomfortable. But just getting a feel of any sort of flexion. She didn't have much flexion or bend around her belly. Canter, horrendous. I mean, at this stage, I was really only using the reins to try and steer, try and control some kind of pace. If you touched her mouth, her head just threw up in the air, and you literally had to be careful she didn't whack you in the face. So, yeah. Anything better than this would be an improvement, I think. Because you just couldn't do anything. You couldn't touch her. And she was just so tense, not happy being ridden. So this is about 2 weeks later. Sorry, it was quite late in the afternoon, so it's a bit dull. You see instantly her demeanour is improved. Like, she is more relaxed in her body. We've been working a lot on getting her to flex left and right, accepting my leg to keep her where I wanted her. And in general, the neck and head sort of below the withers. And when she was going in the way that I liked, it was very relaxed. So it asked for some flexion and then relax the rein. Bend it to the right, relax the rein. So here, flexing a little bit. And you see how she's just tracking up a lot better? So even if her head comes up a little, that I'm not too concerned about. Throwing up nearly into my nose, I am upset about, but this is fine, okay? So there's not really long and low. She brings her head up, pressure goes on a little bit, ask her to flex, and then drop, and then relax the reins again. And trying to slow the tempo a lot with the rising rather than the reins onto the canter. So a lot of work has been mainly done in the trot. I hadn't been cantering much over the 2 weeks. Once the trot was improving, the canter instantly improved. She was much better with this bit. As you can see, this is her worst canter to the right again, so where she wants to fall in. So where she struggles to balance a little, she feels like she has to throw her head, and I'm having to use my reins a little bit more. It's important that these horses have a routine in warming up. So what I do with Luna at home, with the walking, the flexing, the relaxing, the head down, is exactly what I have done when I took her out here to tag. So Luna's second test entering the ring. I was going to try and not fiddle quite as much on these halts as the test previously. We practically spun 360. So that halt's a bit rubbish, but not too bad. Anyway, we get a 6 and we head on. The beginning's a little bit fidgety here. Ooh, head up a little. Anyway, inside leg on. She starts to settle down again. That's quite nice there. Onto the 20-metre circle. And 6.5. So she's quite good on the circles. For some reason, the moves where there's a bit more flexion sort of managed to keep the rhythm a bit more. So that's quite nice. Quite happy with that. We weren't really sure how she was going to go in the second test because she had to wait around a fair bit after the first one, and she was getting quite fidgety. But actually, even though she didn't have a second warm-up, she went straight in the ring and just felt so much better. So she got a 7 here for this across the diagonal, and that, you know, that just looks nice. She felt good as well. I was quite excited with how she felt in this test. I think we have a canter coming up. Let's see. Yeah, so she kind of on the aids, but she didn't stay round, so that's why we just got a 6. And then we circle again, 6.5. So she probably could be a little bit more on her bottom in this canter. Her pole's a little bit low, a little bit on the forehand, but not bad at all. Go to 7, fairly straight. Good transition to trot, not that you can see much. And then we go down to walk. Pretty sure, oh no, we have a stretchy trot. So she's, you know, like the whole way through this process, the whole thing is about long and low. She relaxed, but she just did not stretch. So we only got a 6 for that, which is a bit of a shame because we know she can do such good long and low. So now into the walk. And then, we go super wonky. Like, I did know where I was going, I just couldn't direct her. So we're meant to be going over to E in a medium walk, trying to get her to settle. Obviously, she's this kind of horse that wants to jog a lot, but we do a lot of practice in long and low. So she kind of knows, okay, when the reins go down and my head drops, I'm meant to relax. So here, look, I'm actually really happy with that free walk. Obviously, it needs more stretch. And she curls her nose under, which is what the judge comments on. She needs the nose more in front. But anyway, I'm not too fussed with that. This transition up to trot. Let's have a look. Oh, poked her nose again a little bit. So we've got a 6. There's a fine line between making it look better and putting too much pressure on it could have exploded. So we've got a 7 for this circle. So she starts settling a little bit in the test and feeling really quite nice at this stage. But yeah, as I was saying, so to try and keep the test nice and calm and relaxed, I was putting a little bit less pressure on. I was trying to keep the status quo. And there's always a little bit of that in the dressage test. You know, do you try and get the best work possible, or are you potentially going to cause an explosion? It's kind of a fine line and knowing where you're at with your training. So we've got another 7 for across this diagonal. Nice and forwards, nice and rhythmical. Phoebe's finger in the camera. And then this canter transition. Keeps her nose down. Beauty. 7. I was so chuffed with that. That is her less good canter. Oh my, we're going drunk. Okay, got a 7 for this circle as well. Super chuffed with that. Yeah, looking good. More uphill in this canter. So yeah, pole a bit higher, neck a bit higher, sitting down with the bottom. Then 6.5 for that transition and that bit of trot. Turn down the center line. Again, I'm thinking, okay, don't try and keep her nose down and keep her on the aids in the halt. Let's just halt and stand still, because the last one in the last test was horrendous. So the minute she stood still, relaxed, perfect. Regular rhythm, more relaxation over back to accept contact, well-ridden test.
I did not know you were videoing. Oh, hang on. She's being a spastic. This is all going wrong. That just went all sorts of wrong. We lost Luna. Luna went to paddock on her own. We
Chad the wild beast. Settle down, Looney Tooney. I wonder if she's gonna go for a run. Let's have a look. 3, 2, 1, go! Meow! Woohoo! That's what she wanted to do. Oh, she's still gone. Oh, they're all gone. Oh, Christ, my life.